All right, now, I am so happy to hear that you're working so hard on becoming the great athlete that you want to be. But right now, what I want to do is to make sure you're working hard on things that most people overlook when they want to be a good athlete. And first thing we're going to do is make sure that you are stretched out from your core down to your tippy toes. Now, one of the places where I had really tight muscles is in the iliopsoas chain, which starts in your back, runs around through your stomach, down through your pelvic area, and attaches to at the top of your tibia or fibia, whichever one this is right up here. So, one way to check for that, I know when I was on the doctor's table getting something else looked at, I laid back and she touched me in that area and I jumped. And I didn't know what it was, she didn't know what it was, so she gave me some medicine for my digestive tract. But it was a tight psoas muscle, really tight. And when that really tight psoas muscle pulls down, it kind of pulls you forward like this and puts a lot of pressure. And that's why sometimes you get that little C in your back right here like you have or had. So we want to make sure that it's loosened up. So when the first thing you do is you can start at your navel, go about 2 inches over, maybe 2 inches up. And the way I like to do it is I take my glutes and my core and I press way in. Okay, some of that's still there. I mean, you gotta press in. And if it's tight, it's gonna be really sore. So you just work that out, work it out, work it all the way down, work it out. You can also do this while laying down. You want to do both sides. The muscle attaches on both sides. Now, if you find that it's tight there, if you have absolutely no feeling and you dug into that, buddy, and that's a good thing. But most people are going to be a little tight there. Another thing you can do is you get down in a lunge position. All right. Make sure you're in a good lunge position. The leg is back, you tighten that glute, and you go forward. And when you feel, we're also doing two things here with loosening the hip flexor. Get a good hip flexor stretch. You don't want it to hurt, but you want to feel a good stretch. Then we want to lift our hand to the sky, and we want to bend the opposite way. Now, this will also get that psoas muscle loosened up. And you want to go. And then you do the other side once you get a good stretch on that side. You want to get a good stretch. Remember to tighten the glute. Lift your hands and go to the other side. All right. So that's one of the first things you want to check for. Make sure get your hip flexors and your iliopsoas. Now another muscle that's usually not given a whole lot of attention to, and what you need to pay more attention to, is the gluteal muscles. You want to make sure that they are loose. Now I know you do some of those exercises where you go and you pull up like that, but you don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. But you want to make sure that you can get a good gluteal stretch. See how high I got that knee? And if you put that knee in front of you, in front of your chest, you can get a really good thing. Now also doing this barefooted is going to help you. We'll get to the feet, but this is going to help you with your balance, which will also strengthen those little muscles, balancing muscles that will also help you with your strength. Okay. Get it good. Now this side on me is really tight. Really tight. And then you relax and hold it. Okay, another one you can do is lay here, or sit here. Lay back, put your ankle across your knee. Grab that knee and pull it back towards you. Yeah, you're going to get some stretching in places you may have never stretched before. You're going to make sure these gluteals are stretched out. Now, of course, you know about the hamstrings. You know you should know a whole bunch of hamstring stretches. I'm not going to go through a whole lot of that. But one thing I want you to make sure you can do is to put the palms of your hands flat on the floor. And you go down as far as you can. Hold it. Breathe in. Then out. And then when you breathe out, go down a little further. See, my hands are flat on the ground. You want to make sure that you get a good your hamstrings are loose. Now, quads. Most runners are quad dominant and don't use their glutes. And that's a bad thing. Your glutes, heel muscle, your posterior chain, strongest chain of muscles in your body. So you want to make sure they're loose and strong and firing when you run. Okay, so what I do, grab here, I tighten that glute muscle on that side and pull back. I want to get it straight. Make sure I'm standing straight. And make sure that these are stretched way up. And you can balance. See, my left leg is not quite as much balance. So I have to work on that. Okay. Make sure these are stretched. These stretches you want to do every day, not before you run, because you don't want stretch muscles before you run or practice. You want warm muscles. So that's why you're doing everything. You do everything, active, like you're doing this while you're walking and stuff. You don't want to do static stretching before, you do that after. And on days when you're not doing any workout. So, also to be able to run fast, you want to have a good ankle rocker. Good range of motion in your ankle. And also you want to have loose calves. So these could be one and the same. That's why we have our athletes now walk on their toes and on their heels. So, another thing you want to do is we're going to pretend there's a wall here. You get about 3 or 4 inches from a wall, and you want to make sure that you can keep your heels on the floor and touch the wall. And then you put them together and touch side to side and front. Make sure you can get a good bend. If you can see, don't be jealous of my perfect feet. If you can make sure you can get a good range of motion in here, you want to make sure you can go both ways. You want to have a good range of motion in that ankle, because your feet are the thing that is touching the track. Also, you know the wall stretches. Keep that ankle. That heel on the ground. Push forward. Push forward. Loosen up the calf muscles. All right. Get you a golf ball. If you don't have one, go to the store and steal one. Buy one. And you want to roll it around your heels. I got a lot of pain on that heel. Didn't know that. So you want to loosen that up. Loosen up in the middle. On the sides also, both sides. And on the ball of the feet. If you have any sharp pains like needles sticking in them, you need to spend some time on that. You don't put a whole lot of pressure on there because it'll hurt real bad. But you want to put enough on there to get out any things you might have. That'll help you with your arch of your feet too. Now, another thing you want to do, your big toe. You want to make sure you can get a good bend in your big toe. So you want to make sure you do some things with your big toe. Another thing you want to do with your feet, make sure you get those feet so they can go. Stretch, hold it. Stretch, hold it. Stretch the toes back. Stretch the toes forward. Look, that might not seem like it's important. It's real important. It's real important to have a good ankle rocker and to have a good strong big toe. Now, a lot of when you're doing your little toe raises, make sure it go up on your big toe. Go up on your big toe. Do things when you're doing your walk like this, make sure you're putting pressure on that big toe. Get that big toe strong. Because when you're running and you come down and you toe off, you're toeing off on the big toe. Hopefully. And the stronger that big toe is, you can handle the forces of coming down, because the way you run fast is putting force into the track. That's the way you run fast. Putting force. Vertical force. Vertical. Up and down. Not stretching way out here. But when you land, that foot lands under those hips, it's going to propel you down the track. Now, a good high school sprinter matched up against Usain Bolt, they will hit the track at the same time, or their turnover can be the same. But what happens is, because Usain Bolt is putting crazy force into the track, they'll hit the track at the same time, but Usain Bolt will go way further than, well, anybody else in the world. That's why it only takes him, on average, 43 steps to run the 100, when everybody else is taking 45, 46, because of the forces he's able to put into the ground that propels him forward. And if you look, when his feet hit the ground, you can go on YouTube and get a slow motion of him. When his feet hit the ground, it's under his hips. It ain't way out here, it ain't way back here. That's when he's in maximum velocity. We're not talking about starting and acceleration. So you want to be able to put great forces in it. That's why you're doing them squats. So you can get strong here, because you want to run using these gluteals. And you want to be able to hinge that knee and that hip at the same time. You're coming back under here. Remember when I told you to get that heel up under your butt? You get that heel up under your butt and bam, slam it down. Now, one thing I noticed, a lot of y'all, when y'all doing A-skips, y'all bouncing, going forward and all that, bouncing. But when you're doing the A-skip, you want to keep them hips high, and you want to pound. And actually, you want to learn how to switch legs in the air. Because when you sprint real good, you're going to spend a lot of time actually in the air with no feet hitting the turf. That's the only way you really move forward. So when you're doing those A-skips, learn to change in the air. And really pound that ground when you're doing that. Exercise I'm getting ready to teach my runners is we're going to start here. It's going to be kind of like a wall drill, but we're not going to be against the wall. We're going to be barefooted, and we are going to, part of it being able to stop. Being able to stop. Teaching them how to pound that ground real hard and come back up. Try that, see, a couple times, see how tired you get. Now, when you're able to do that, you're running. And you're going to be putting some crazy force into the ground. All right, I'm getting tired. So, I'm going to do the rest of this video later. Yes, there is more to it.